Canada is the second largest lumber provider in the world. In 2016, Canada exported $17.5 billion worth of lumber products, and lumber makes up 3.3% of Canada's economy. As of 2016, Canada's lumber trade grew nearly 75%. So how is it harvested in Canada? First, they start by fleeing the trees, then bringing it through transporting to sawmills, pulp factories, and other wood processing facilities.
Planning. Forest harvesting is thoroughly planned in advance. The provincial governments that control most of the land on which forest harvesters operate force them to conduct their activities according to a long list of regulations, which are mostly environmental. The primary aim of timber gathering activities is to collect the oldest wood first. Businesses that require timber want to get their wood products as cheaply as feasible. They are able to satisfy these two criteria by reviewing forest inventory data, which names various species and their ages and is constantly updated. There are 3 types of logging. Clear cutting, the cheapest and fastest way to harvest wood. They cut every tree and leave nothing but land behind. There are negative environmental impacts if not harvested properly.
Sheltered wood. Similar to clear cutting in that it cuts down the majority of the trees, although they leave a few trees behind after harvesting that are able to produce seeds to help regrowth.
Selective cutting. This method only cuts down the mature trees in the area. It is the most costly and used in areas where young trees need shade. It is the least disruptive to the forest. Log transportation. Logs are moved in various ways depending on their position. In BC, the timbers are rafted or piled onto barges before being hauled into the factories. The remainder of Canada's logs are almost always transported by vehicle and occasionally by rail. In forest operations, transportation accounts for 35 to 45% of the total GHG emissions.
The key issues of deforestation.
At the COP Climate Summit, Justin Trudeau and 100 other world leaders pledged to end deforestation. However, Trudeau has no intention of using government money to do so. Instead, he will be using funds given by private companies who can benefit from a cleaner environment. Another report by the Department of Environmental Defence Canada said that the pollution from Canada's logging sector is actually 80 megatons higher than was originally reported. 80 megatons is roughly equivalent to the annual emissions from all buildings in Canada.
Logging scars. The Canadian forest industry constructs thousands of kilometers of logging roads each year. They must be built to minimize erosion, safeguard water purity, and have the least possible effects on the woodland growth site. This causes direct harm because they eliminate trees, and the compact soil makes future seeding impossible. Logging roads and adjacent territory alone account for 21,700 hectares of deforested ground in Ontario. By 2030, logging marks will prevent our woods from absorbing 41 megatons of CO2 and converting it to oxygen. That is the same as a year's worth of private car pollution in Canada.
Lumber tariffs, a zero-sum game. Canada is a key supplier of lumber to the U.S. housing sector. The softwood lumber agreement is provided security and predictability. The U.S. and Canada are negotiating a new agreement, and trading tariffs have been imposed on lumber in the meantime. Tariffs can have unintended consequences, reducing competition and innovation for both sides involved. Lack of competition can lead to higher prices and harm local customers. Tariff can also create friction by favoring certain sectors or regions.
False generosity. For tariffs to change, Canada must make an effort to use true generosity, to manipulate the tariffs to benefit all countries through mediative strategies. To recognize the structural change, we must recognize power dynamics. In the future, we need to create a non-zero-sum game. How can we help other countries through analyzing true generosity? So what can Halifax citizens do as positive duty? First, we can reduce our beef consumption to limit the demand for clearing forest used for farming, and purchase from businesses that are dedicated to decreasing deforestation, as well as support organizations fighting the impact of deforestation. And the Protection Environment Fund helps 530 organizations to preserving our natural ecosystems that we can use to help support this organization. Thanks for watching.